Mr. Davies.
I'm sorry. I'd like to, with my Liberal colleagues' indulgence, make a motion to amend 62 sub 2, which comes before Liberal 11. I'm going to move it from the floor, if I might. It has to do with a conversation that we had yesterday about the prohibition in this bill banning the importation or exportation of cannabis, except as provided for this Act. And so I didn't move my amendment there. I'm going to move my amendment now to 62.2. This is the part of the Act that does authorize the importation and exportation of cannabis. It says currently that licenses and permits authorizing the importation or exportation of cannabis may be issued only in respect of cannabis for medical or scientific purposes or in respect of industrial hemp. So that's the status quo that we have now. So my amendment would be to permit the import and export of recreational cannabis. And I'll speak to it in a moment. I'll give you the wording that I worked out with the Ledge Council yesterday. The amendment would say licenses and permits authorizing the importation or exportation of cannabis may be issued, period. So basically everything after the word issued in line 31 would be struck. And I'll just speak briefly to that, if I may. As I said, it's, in my opinion, there's many countries of the world that are looking at legalizing recreational cannabis. I've talked to many people in the industry who tell me that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry that Canada currently stands at the forefront of. I talked to a leading manufacturer of medicinal cannabis who said that he's contacted every week by businesses outside of Canada who want to learn about their business and partner. I think it's only a matter of time before other jurisdictions besides Uruguay legalize recreational cannabis. We could have, France could legalize cannabis next year. And if they do, then I think this legislation should at least permit the exportation, importation of cannabis products between those two countries. If the product is legal in both countries, then why would we not want to give our business community and those that are producing cannabis the ability to trade in that commodity? Now, interestingly, we're going to allow licensed producers to produce and sell cannabis within Canada. We're going to make that decision. Why would we want to hamstring our business community and say, but you can't do that with another country that comes to the same decision? And finally, of course, it is the case that this bill would allow currently importation and exportation of cannabis for medical, scientific purposes or industrial hemp. So to me, it makes sense that we maintain Canada's competitive advantage. I think Canada can be a global leader in terms of, as we develop the intellectual property and more cannabis strains under a very wisely regulated environment that this bill purports to set out, where we have quality cannabis that's quality controlled, the dosages are controlled, they're properly labeled, they're not marketed to children. If we can ship wine to France, we should be able to ship cannabis there if France, as an example, decides as a country to take the same approach to legalization as we do.
Mr. Oliver.
Thank you. I just come back to the three purposes of the Act, which one is to remove this from the hands of youth. The second is to deter criminal activity with significant criminal consequences. And the third is safe and healthy production so that customer safety or consumer safety is to the fore. It wasn't about retailing and exporting and creating those business opportunities. But having said that, Mr. Davies does raise some interesting points. So I'm wondering if we could have a 5-minute sidebar on our side just to talk through. We didn't have it before us. It's coming from the floor, so we'd like a chance to have a little sidebar.
Sidebar, 5 minutes.